European Parliament votes in Sri Lanka's favour on GSP Plus concession. Hartal staged in several towns in the north and east demanding justice for missing persons. Main suspect in the fatal shooting of a police officer killed in a police shootout. Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca's opinion on his new position. Hello, good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 and Shakti TV. I'm Nadim Majid.
And I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Taking a look at our top story this evening, the resolution that was tabled at the EU Parliament against granting GSP Plus to Sri Lanka was defeated in a vote today. 436 members of the EU Parliament have voted against the resolution, while 119 have voted in favour. 22 MEPs have abstained.
Speaking to News First from Brussels, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Harsha De Silva, said that the EU Council of Ministers will hold a discussion regarding the granting of GSP Plus on the 15th of next month. The Deputy Minister added that he hopes the decision reached by the EU Parliament would be enacted soon.
It's to me largely a political decision as well. The GSP has always had both political and economic elements. But economically speaking, GSP Plus could ease some of the current, at present Sri Lankan exports are struggling. We are not cost competitive and the demand from our main markets like Europe and USA is declining. So it could cushion some of these negative impacts if we do get GSP Plus. But personally, all these free trade agreements or unilateral agreements like GSP, I have never considered them to be a game changer in terms of addressing our export problem. But it will definitely cushion for some sectors, especially like apparel and fisheries.
GSP Plus is a tax concession granted by the European Union to developing countries, which allows full removal of tariffs on every product category covered by the general scheme. Sri Lanka received the GSP Plus tax concession in the year 2005 for 3 years after the tsunami struck the island in 2004. To continue granting GSP Plus to Sri Lanka, the EU decided to evaluate the country's progress in terms of 27 conventions with regard to human rights, labour rights, environmental conservation and good governance. As a result of the previous government failing to comply with these conditions, the granting of GSP Plus to Sri Lanka was stopped from the 15th of August 2010. When the new government came into power in January 2015, several steps were taken to secure the restoration of the GSP Plus concession. On the 11th of January this year, the European Commission proposed increased market access for Sri Lanka as a reform incentive under GSP Plus. It was revealed at the Cabinet media briefing yesterday that the government has approved certain conditions laid out by the European Union and that the documents pertaining to the changes had been sent to Brussels before the vote. President Maithripala Sirisena says the guidance of spiritual leaders is very important in finding solutions to the current issues faced by the world.
The President made this statement at the opening session of an international Islamic seminar organized by the Sri Lanka Islamic Centre this morning. The two-day seminar, which is being held in Colombo under the theme Islamic Reality and Timely Challenges, is attended by representatives from the Middle East and Asia.
I think the guidance and solutions given by spiritual leaders to the unrest and current issues in the world are far more important than the solutions given by politicians. The battle for power and wealth only results in the destruction of one man's life by another. The issue is not about who made the bomb. It's about the loss of life when the bomb is dropped. The issue is the manufacturer of the bullet that leaves the gun to end a man's life. If everyone in the world, every state leader and every government can end the manufacturing of arms and ban the use of weapons to create world peace, I reckon that it would be the best move that could be taken. If someone says that this cannot be done, the question is, why not?
Religion is a cultural system of behaviors and practices, sacred texts, holy places, ethics and societal organizations that relate humanity of existence. We are a multi-ethnic, multi-religious country with Sinhalese, Muslims, Tamils, Malays, all living together. Muslims have been living in harmony with other communities for years in Sri Lanka. They have also played a significant and important role in economy and politics of this country.
Indian Minister of External Affairs Sushma Swaraj says the MOU signed between India and Sri Lanka is a preliminary document aimed at gaining equal benefits for the people of both countries. It is a view that various sectors can come to agreements on development based on this document.
Indian Minister of External Affairs Sushma Swaraj and Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held talks last afternoon. During the meeting, Swaraj had said India, Japan and Sri Lanka have worked together on a number of occasions to initiate development activities in Sri Lanka. She had also informed Prime Minister Wickremesinghe that her country's central and federal governments have launched a joint program to prevent Indian fishermen from entering Sri Lankan waters. While Indian fishermen will be gradually encouraged into the deep sea fishing industry over the next 3 years, training has begun on a few teams. Sushma Swaraj said new registrations for bottom trawlers will be suspended. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe met with Indian Home Minister Rajnath Singh in the Indian capital, New Delhi. The focus of the meeting was drawn towards creating a continuous dialogue between the intelligence units of the two countries and to what extent India's experiences could be exploited to upgrade Sri Lanka's police service. Indian Minister for Road Transport and Highways and Shipping Nitin Gadkari has expressed his ministry's fullest cooperation to Prime Minister Wickremesinghe in Sri Lanka's road development, including the Jaffna-Mannar-Trincomalee Main Road and the Dambulla-Trincomalee Expressway. Views were exchanged on formulating a backdrop to revitalise the economy of the north by constructing a road linking Jaffna, Mannar and Trincomalee.
At a media briefing held in Colombo today, a collective of school principals and teachers' unions expressed their views on steps that they would take against the private medical university in Malabe.
Our stance is that SITEM, which has put a price tag on education, must be abolished. So we are hoping to get together with all principals and teachers and engage in a strike action which will commence in the coming week. We see that ministers including Rajitha Senaratne are trying to show the attempts they are making to suppress us. If he wants to know how to grow spine, the working people will show him. If the government is conspiring to safeguard a private institute, we are ready to stop them. The GMOA is ready to fight against these forces unconditionally and defeat these forces.
එයා ඉන්නවා මාස 3න් මේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂට කියලා මම පෙරලලා ඔයාව ජනාධිපති කරලා එතකොට එයා කැමති වෙයි.
Their target is to topple the government with the help of Mahinda Rajapaksa and be appointed as a president and prime minister. They are failing now. The executive board has taken a decision regarding the SITEM issue. Take the ETCA now. These are political issues. No one can go on a road. There are rallies everywhere. We did not appoint the Yahapalana government to sacrifice it to these murderers and rogues.
මේ මිනි මරපු ඝාතකයින්ට උන්ට මේ රට දෙන්න නෙවෙයි අපි මේ යහපාලන දෙන්නේ. ඒ යහපාලනට අපි නෑ.
කොතලාවල විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ ආරක්ෂක උපාධි පිරිනමන විශ්වවිද්‍යාලේ කොටත් ඔබතුමා උසස් අධ්‍යාපන මන්ත්‍රීතුමා.
ඔව් ඒ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට කොහොමදවත් වෛද්‍ය උපාධි.
Yes, according to the medical ordinance at that time, this particular academy cannot do that. But when the academy was established, it was registered in a way it did not come under the Ministry of Higher Education or the University Grants Commission. So it was not allowed to register under the Medical Council. So the medical ordinance was changed.
වෛද්‍ය සභාව යටතේ කීයටවත් ඒකට රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න බෑ. එතන වෛද්‍ය සභාව පනත වෙනස් කරා.
ඒකට ඒකට MBBS වෛද්‍යවරු බිහි කරන්න අවසර දුන්නේ කවුද? ඒකට විරෝධයක් ආවේ නෑනේ.
නෑ ඒකට විරෝධයක් ආවේ නෑ. ඔය
Yes, no one opposed it. Even the medical council agreed. But that was because they were afraid of Gotabaya. There was a minor objection back then. And right after that, the secretary of the medical council faced an accident on his way home. He was threatened with a pistol in his mouth. I proposed to change the ordinance. The medical council assisted me in that.
ගෙනාවේ පනත වෙනස් කරන්න මට සම්පූර්ණ සහාය වෛද්‍ය සංගමයත් වෛද්‍ය සභාවත් දුන්නා.
On to another one of our headline-making stories. A Hartal campaign was conducted across the northern and eastern provinces today, demanding justice for those who went missing during the war.
The Hartal campaign began in support of the hunger strike carried out over the past 64 days in the Vaunia town by the relatives of missing persons. One of the demands made to the authorities was the provision of death certificates to those who went missing. Our correspondent said that Hartal campaigns were carried out in Jaffna, Mullaitivu, Mannar, Kilinochchi and several other areas. Majority of shops in the main towns of the northern province were closed and public transport services too were disrupted. Vehicular movement along the A9 road was hindered by the protests staged near the clock tower in Vaunia. Proceedings of the Northern Provincial Council took place for a short period of time. Relatives of the missing persons in the north and east have staged a Hartal campaign to show the distress among the locals in their areas. I have addressed a lengthy letter about this to the President. Though I was asked to hold discussions with them, I still have not received an official response from the government. We hope we receive a favourable response from the government. Our correspondent said that Hartal campaigns were also carried out in the Batiklo and Trincomalee districts in the east. They produced some pictures. The list says the child is missing, but there are pictures of the child. There were pictures with the President, and they were reported in some papers too. So which means these children are living in some parts of the country. This child was there in several places during the previous regime. So we have to check those places too. I requested them to send me complete reports on this issue. I can talk to the President and implement a special program. We need to make a decision soon. But you must keep in mind, this has been an issue since 1971. Not even the ones who went missing in 1971 received their death certificates.
Reports that another position is to be conferred on Field Marshal Minister Sarath Fonseca stirred much debate among public representatives and trade unions today.
They must remember that it was the trade union movement that took to the streets, forced Mahinda Rajapaksa to step down from his lion throne, packed his suitcase and sent him back to Hambantota. We will accept the challenge. No matter who forms what force, we are the leaders of the workforce. There is no such force. I am saddened over this nitpicking on a single matter we discussed in cabinet. There are no plans. When there is only a proposal and no methodology, the entire country is talking about it. We can say whether it's good or bad when a decision is made. It is too early now. As the economic crisis aggravates, democracy is being stripped. We call on this government not to attempt to deceive people anymore by washing away all filth and taking anti-democratic actions. It was a cabinet decision. The time of fear, of intimidation, strike and threats must come to an end. Good governance does not mean allowing everyone to take to the streets. There needs to be discipline in the country. They have asked him to take it up and see if he can suppress the trade unions. We extend a challenge. If they think they can use Fonseca to make injustice reign supreme, then the joint opposition and all the trade unions are prepared to face it. I thought that this was a joke the President made. He asked during the cabinet meeting whether he wished to become the army commander again. I did not think anything of it beyond that. If there is an emergency situation, we will be there. There is no need for a special unit. If they are thinking of giving him some responsibility in the army and expediting work there, then it is a different matter. But I do not think we can do anything beyond that. The SLFP does not think that there is any major agenda behind it. Just because the President asked Fonseca if he wanted to be army commander again, but certain people have become very fearful.
Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca attended a Sinhala and Tamil New Year celebration today, where he responded to questions posed by journalists.
Yes, there is a rumour, but a decision on that has not been confirmed as yet. I didn't say that. As far as we know, trade unions exist to provide for their own welfare. But if trade unions are trying to become political henchmen by sabotaging the government's moves for their own political objectives or to topple a government, then I don't think that is a right of a trade union. We have no intentions of suppressing the rights of trade unions. Neither the President or I have any intentions of doing so, no matter what position I am given. So we will continue to fulfill our responsibilities while safeguarding the democracy of the country. Well, yes. At the cabinet meeting, His Excellency the President asked me if I was ready to head the military, which caught me by surprise. I instantly said no. Then I was offered the post of Chief of Defence Staff, which I said no to again. Then I was offered the responsibility of handling an emergency situation in the country caused by a breakdown of an essential service. This was approved by all the cabinet ministers when I suggested that it be discussed first. No, there is no reason for that. You are aware that the former ruler, through the defence secretary, used white vans and the military to break down homes and roads at their own will. Such a situation will not recur in the country. Those rulers and secretaries will not be able to come back to power. They cannot rule a country. As a politician, Lanka must learn that lesson.
Lessons to be learnt. A startling revelation was made before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into Bond Issuances today that pumping and dumping occurred in relation to government securities in the past. Zulfiq Farzan reports on the proceedings at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry.
W.A. Vijayawardena, the former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, says the scandalous actions in relation to government securities were the result of the lethargic attitude of the Mantri board members. In a statement, he said that the existing Mantri Law Act must also be amended. He further said that the person appointed as governor must have unquestionable integrity and a selection process for a new governor must begin at least 1 year before the incumbent retires. In relation to the intraday liquidity facility given to Perpetual Treasuries Limited during the period of the impugned auction, Dr. Vijayawardena said the primary dealer had abused the ILF and dishonoured the obligation it made to the central bank. Over the alleged losses to the EPF, he said the governance structure of the EPF must be re-examined. In relation to the profits made by Perpetual Treasuries Limited in 2015, Dr. Vijayawardena said profit making was skewed, with Perpetual Treasuries making 90% of the market profits. He noted that the market strategy of Perpetual Treasuries must be looked into. In response to the questions raised by Attorney-at-Law Harsha Fernando, the witness said that a hybrid system of auctions and direct placements is preferred. He said having direct placements would strengthen the auction system. The attorney representing present Deputy Governor P. Samarsiri suggested to the witness that deep discounts were given for insignificant amounts to friends and associates allegedly to make profits. Meanwhile, it is also suggested to the witness by attorney Mr. Harsha Fernando that the method of private placements was detrimental to the interest of the nation. However, Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena rejected that claim. Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena will provide evidence once again tomorrow morning. From the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, I'm Zulfiq Farzan for News First.
How can a leader who was defeated on 29 occasions market himself like this? From where is he getting this money? Is it from the central bank bond deal or is it from the coal deal? The UNP did not have money saved in their accounts, but after they established the government, they started spending a large sum of money. And that is not for the labour force in the country. It is to highlight someone and appoint him as the next leader. We are against this because May Day is for the labourers. It will be better if they can give this money to the working people of this country.
වඩාත් යෝග්‍යයි කියන එක තමයි අපිට ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ.
Mahinda Rajapaksa and his family put up posters using state property and money. I think you are referring to the posters we hung to mark the May Day. We did it with the party's money. We did not use the government's money. Every registered party in the country should submit their audit report on their accounts to the Elections Commissioner. The income earned by the UNP was higher than the income earned by the SLFP in the year 2015. But in the year 2015, we conducted 2 elections, a presidential election and a general election. If the income earned by the UNP was 35 million rupees, does that mean they conducted 2 elections with that money? That is not possible. So this means they have submitted a false report. They earn, collect and spend large sums of money without including it in their accounts.
The proposed increase in the tax on EPF payments came under fire during a media briefing convened by the Intercompany Employees Union today.
There is a proposal to increase the withholding tax on the EPF to 14%. Thus far it was 10%, but it was not imposed since this is the employees' fund. But now the government is drafting laws to charge a 14% tax on this fund, which workers receive after the age of 55. The more than 2.5 million members of the EPF have a fund which is more than 1,700 billion. Let us take an example. If a worker has amassed a sum of 1 million rupees, when he withdraws it, he will be taxed 140,000 rupees. They are trying to change the 8-hour workday as per the whim of the IMF. People who defrauded the EPF are still at large. Now they are trying to steal some more by taxing it. This system has failed. After 20 overseas trips, they have not learned of a system to rescue this. He is currently overseas. We call on him to remain there. Let him stay there and read a book. That is good for him. If the government does not listen to the demands of the working people in this country, then when Ranil Wickremesinghe goes overseas on his 21st trip, we will find him a permanent residence there.
In some May Day drama, the Communist Party of Sri Lanka has decided not to join the joint opposition's May Day rally at the Golface Green.
Two sections of the SLFP are trying to take a step back. Mahinda Rajapaksa is interpreting the executive presidency in different ways. He says that a public mandate is not necessary. So if that is the case, that means the executive presidency should not be abolished. That is an unstable situation. Even the government is of that stance. So, we have planned to use May Day to exert pressure. We acted independently and offered our tasks while following the principles of the joint opposition. We will not join the May Day rally with the intention of carrying out a new economic policy program and establishing a new constitution to create unity among the general public.
SLFP General Secretary Minister Duminda Dissanayake visited the Gatambe grounds in Kandy today, where the May Day rally of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is scheduled to be held.
As far as I know, the joint opposition does not have a May Day march nor a rally. That is a rally of GLP's party. So I do not think that those in the SLFP who represent the joint opposition have a special place for them. I think the SLFP May Day rally will be held in Everyone has been invited. The Central Committee's decision has been informed through the registered post as well. I have not been informed in writing. If they cannot bear the party's responsibilities, then certain decisions will have to be taken. These were the kind of decisions which were taken over the past few days, and more are to be taken in the future. Disciplinary measures will be taken against the correct person at the correct time.
Galle Magistrate Nishantha Piris determined today that the police have the power to file cases under the Excise Ordinance. The determination was issued after considering objections that were filed by the defendants in 9 cases related to the transportation of alcohol and the submissions that were made by the police department in response.
The police had filed cases against the defendants for transporting liquor in excess of the permitted amount, following which the liquor was seized by the state and the court imposed fines on the suspects. When a problem arose regarding releasing the vehicles used to transport the liquor, the defendants claimed that the police do not have the authority to act when it comes to raids involving liquor. The moonshine racketeers in the country and people who depend on it were happy for about 6 to 7 months now because of the various arguments being raised for and against. They engaged in these rackets in some areas, claiming that the police do not have the right to file cases under the Excise Act. But this historic determination issued by the court is a victory for the criminal justice system. Meanwhile, a man was shot dead by police officers in the Patalayagam area in Hambantota today. The police said the deceased was the chief suspect in the shooting and killing of a police officer in Kurunagala in November last year. The deceased has been identified as Jailat Kandambige Chaminda, alias Mathara Roshan, an army deserter. Police say that Mathara Roshan, who is wanted in connection with several crimes, also uses the alias Bicycle Baby. Police media spokesperson DIG Priyantha Jayakodi said there had been an exchange of gunfire between the suspect and police officers. 2 officers who were injured in the shooting have been admitted to the Hambantota General Hospital.
A waste management committee meeting was held at the Kulonava Divisional Secretariat today.
For the first time in the history of Sri Lanka, the government has taken policy decisions requested by us to provide a 50,000 rupee allowance for those who are living on rent in homes surrounding the garbage dump. We are hoping to disburse the funds by this evening, close the camp at Terence College and resettle the people either in rented homes or in homes provided by the government. As a parliamentarian of this government, I say very clearly that both this government and the former government must take responsibility for this catastrophe. No matter how many efforts I took, no matter how many questions were posed in parliament, and no matter how many letters were written noting that this would collapse in the event of heavy rains, the government must take responsibility now for being unable to reach a final decision. As a member of the government, I too am responsible. Meanwhile, a fundamental rights petition was filed at the Supreme Court today, seeking a determination that the fundamental rights of the people had been violated as a result of the indiscriminate piling up of garbage around the country. The petition was filed by environmentalist Ranjit Sisira Kumara and the Centre for Environmental Justice. The Central Environment Authority, the Attorney General, the Minister of Disaster Management and the Attorney General representing President Maithripala Sirisena in his capacity as the Minister of Environment have been cited as respondents.
Through this action, we are hoping that the preliminary steps will be taken to enact a national policy on the problem of waste management and that it will be implemented.
That was Nirmani Ranasinghe from the Centre for Environmental Justice. Also in news here at home, Minister Sajith Premadasa declared open the 26th Udagammana village in Walikanda today.
The model village was opened in Boatta, Walikanda under the Alipibidana Udagammana village. The village named Sundara Mahadevi Gama comprises of 29 houses which were built at a cost of 23.4 million rupees. The person who sent the greatest war hero to Walikada is the one who is steering the people in the joint opposition and attempting to destabilize the country. Together with the Indian government, we will build an industrial zone in Trincomalee. Is it to give jobs to the children of Maithripala Sirisena or to the relatives of Ranil Wickremesinghe? We are building this industrial zone to give jobs to the children of the farmers, fishermen and the labourers. We are not selling off the country. We are bringing in the foreign investors with a strategic interest. We will create jobs with the industries. We have no desire to sell the resources to foreigners. That is the truth.
The ICC has reversed a decision which effectively handed control of the sport to India, England and Australia.
The International Cricket Council decided in 2014 that the Big Three should have more powers over how the game is run and its financial split. But at a meeting in Dubai, the ICC board voted to pass a new financial model and governance structure. The changes will have to be ratified by the ICC full council in June. The 2014 changes had angered other large cricketing nations such as South Africa and Pakistan. However, the reversal is likely to upset India, which has been demanding a $570 million cut from ICC revenues but will now receive $293 million. The board voted 13-1 in favor of the financial changes, and local media have reported that India was the only dissenting voice.
Well, that's a look at Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Good night and good luck.